the long-anticipated spotlight review of Transformers Studio Series number 35, Leader Class Jetfire, based off of his appearance in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. So let's put aside the figure for a moment so we can take a good look at the packaging, as partake of every single video review on this channel. Up close in your face! Here's the artwork of Jetfire being used for the front of the packaging, which is movie accurate. Number 35 of the Studio Series. Autobot logo, Jetfire. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, ages 8 and plus. Hasbro's logo, Transformers. Going up to the Misaligned Generations logo at the top right corner, and Takara Tomi's logo. Taking a look at the side of the packaging at this angle, and here we got the concept art of Jetfire from the movie. We also have the Autobot symbol here sticking out on the side window packaging. And at the very bottom, we got the authentic Transformer stamp, which, to remind you, if it doesn't say authentic, it's a knockoff. On the other side of the packaging, same format here. We've got that artwork of Jetfire, the concept. Studio Series number 35, Leader Class, in case you forgot. Taking a look at the back of the packaging, and here we got the computerized images of what would have been the prototype of this figure. So here we got his robot mode and his jet mode. Each mode, vice versa, consists of 36 steps in the transformation. And as you can see, we got the company logo here, which means that this figure is totally licensed. Jetfire makes the ultimate sacrifice, heroically giving up his parts to restore and strengthen Optimus Prime. Here's a brief look at the backdrop, which we'll be taking a look at the end of the video, but in case you want to know, it's the Pyramid Desert battle from the end of the movie. The only leader figure left out of this line for now is Megatron. Alright, let's get to some contents before we get to the actual figure, starting off with the set of instructions here that the figure comes with, so you don't get lost in the transformation. Just have a look at it. That's right. All of this is very important here. Every single bit of it. Yeah. And here's something that was actually surprising. Well, not really, because it was mentioned early on before the figure's actual release. But yes, we do have an additional piece here for Optimus Prime. Not this Optimus Prime. This piece actually will be going to the upcoming Leader Class Optimus Prime figure, so he can still combine with Jetfire. Now let's take a look at Jetfire now in his Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird jet mode, and it is sleek, sick, and I love it. The engineering on this figure is leaps and bounds better than the original Revenge of the Fallen Leader Class Jetfire figure. And of course, since this is a Studio Series, it has every right to be. Now, I'm not going to say it's perfect, because there are a few complications that I've got with this figure. Starting off with the panels here, they have a tendency to pop out on me whenever I transform this figure, and they don't sit flush. But overall, it is a very impressive looking jet. I just love this thing. It's so sleek, it's so fast, it's so cool looking, and it definitely is Jetfire. One thing that was a burden on the original Leader Class figure was that these fins here would never stay into place. You always had to manually move them into position. These fins are actually designed to stay in one position, and that is the proper position. Same goes with the wings here. And here's a good look at the detail for the rotors in the back. And as you can see, the pinstriping with the red is actually pretty clean on the figure. Taking a look at the fins here, and we do have some nice detail that's actually printed on, especially with the skunk logo. But it's not all fine and dandy due to the limitations of the engineering on this small Leader Class figure. Yes, we do have a robot underneath, but if you were to remove the hands and the obvious head right here, this would actually look pretty convincing. Unless you notice the big giant axe here, which is removable. Jetfire also sports some landing gear here, and then we got the two back here. Unfortunately, none of them roll because they are just solid plastic. So if you go about moving the figure like this, you're scraping the wheels. Hasbro and Takara even took the liberty of actually printing on some accurate details from the movie at the front of the jet. And I think it's pretty much the same information on this side here. There seems to be a missing tip to this side of the jet's nose. Alright guys, we're pretty much going for the details of the jet. So what do you say we do a size comparisons with the current Voyager class Optimus Prime figure from Studio Series? Going into transformation on the figure, he's a bit of a challenge here, but then again, the Studio Series is meant to be that way. So to start things off, I'm going to flip up the landing gear here, just to get it out of the way, and remove this piece here, which will become his walking stick later. Let's go ahead and bring down the head, just so it's out of the way, and then come right here to the middle section of the jet, and I'm going to pry this sucker open here, and bring this panel up. So this panel here splits apart, and we're going to swing these up. The nose cone of the jet is going to flip in on itself, followed by this piece right here, the back of the jet, and we're going to untab these pieces here on both sides. Now that that's out of the way, go ahead and untab the axe and put it aside. Take this back piece of the jet and flip it up like so, and repeat the same process on this side. Fins are going to fold down now like so. This entire back panel here is going to flip up and out of the way. Untab these panels here. They're going to swing up. This top piece here is on a double hinge, and we're going to fold that down and tab it in place. Come to the exhaust of the jet, and what we're going to do is bring them out like so. Then we can take them and bring them together like so. These tabs are going to come together and form his crotch piece. And make sure they're snapped in securely. Go ahead and rotate the thigh section 90 degrees. And this entire section here is going to swing this way. Flip out Jetfire's additional toe. Swing this entire section down. And all we gotta do now is adjust his chicken legs. So pretty much repeat the same process on this side. Fold this out. Swing this about like this. Swing this up like so. And take the thigh section and rotate it around 90 degrees. And reposition his chicken legs. At the midsection of the figure, we're going to swing down this entire piece. We'll go ahead and free up the shoulders here. Swing this entire section up on this hinge here. This hinge is going to fold down like so. And now we can swing this entire section up. The entire front of the jet is going to swing up on a double hinge, and then it's going to fold back like so. And then we're going to bring this up like this. I'm going to do our best to collapse everything down like so. Come to the back to the figure and straighten out the wings. And make sure this section is still locked in place. This piece here is going to fill in the chest of Jetfire. What we're going to do is we're going to loop it through this gap here. And then we should have enough of a stretch here to actually get it to tab in right here and securely. We'll repeat the same process on this side. Loop it through this gap here between the thigh and this bit. Like so. And then we should be able to have enough of a stretch to tab it in right here. And it should stay in there pretty securely. There's a tab right here. It's going to go into this slot right here where my finger's pointing at. We just got to adjust on this double hinge here and bring it up as high as possible so it's got enough space to tab right into place. Then what we can do now is swing down at the shoulder and flip up the hand and rotate the hand. To repeat the same process on this side, tap this in here, swing this down here, swing this out, rotate the hand, swing these up, bring these down so they look more natural. Why don't you try your best to readjust everything to your liking, and when you do, there you go. Leader class Jetfire in his robot mode, and boy, that was exhausting. Let me correct myself, okay? The transformation is not hard. What is hard about this figure when transforming him is just that everything tends to get in the way and knock something out of place. Jetfire's shoulders, always tabbing those suckers in, always has a tendency to knock these two pieces out of place, and it's just so frustrating at times. And sometimes when transforming this figure back into his jet mode, I honestly have no idea which way these legs are supposed to rotate, and it just gets so confusing. And there are some places where it seems pretty loose on the figure, and then there are other places where it feels pretty tight. And I'm really trying my best here not to butcher the figure any more than I have to, because it is a very cool looking Jetfire. It's as screen accurate as it can get in this specific scale. So what do you say we put aside the complaints for a moment and take a good look at the figure from all the details of that face, which is definitely movie accurate. As you can see, it definitely looks like old man Jetfire from the movie with the whiskers that we got here, with this nice silver paint for the face. His eyes were painted red, but you're not going to see that at all. He's also got his lips, and the beard looks pretty good. Although one side happens to be a tad bit shorter than the other, but I think that's pretty accurate. And you will also notice that his beard is actually a separate piece and it's made out of a very soft material. And just like his on-screen counterpart, the cockpit window of the jet makes up the top of his head. We've also got some nice print-on details here, which are still too small to read. Some nice red striping going down the back of his head. And here's a good look at the chest. Scope out the forearms on Jetfire and look at the nice silver paint here for the pistons. Here's some nice gold paint that's being used for the knuckles of the figure. Here's a good look at his crotch section, which happens to be asymmetrical, as you can see. There's some nice attention to detail on Jetfire's legs, especially with the additional turbine engines here. And here's a look at the feet of the action figure. And there's a quick look at the back of the figure, and this is pretty much where all the kibble is. So the engineering on this figure is pretty impressive, and I gotta say, it's right up there with masterpiece quality. Thanks to the engineering on this figure and all the panels that has to move around, he's loaded with articulation, so let's get to it. So Jetfire's head can look up quite a bit, but it can't look down at all. And it can turn from side to side, and it does have a little bit of some left and right movement as well. His whiskers can be played around with as well, as they're on single hinges. And there's hinges here on these flaps, and hinges here that can fold them in and out, so you can adjust them any way you want. And going to the shoulders of the figure, as long as they stay tapped into place, he does have a hinge joint for inward and outward movement. There's also a swivel joint at the shoulder to allow the arms to go a complete 360 without any hindrance. There's a bicep swivel joint, as you can see. The arms are single jointed, but due to transformation, you can get more than 9 degrees of bend. The wrists are double hinged, as you can see. There's also a mushroom peg at the hand to allow a full swivel, but just due to transformation, there is no way that they could add a swivel joint here at the waist. The legs are universally jointed at the hip, so you can get this much kicking forward and about that much going back. And yes, even though it does look weird, Jetfire can pull off a very nice JCVD split. He does have a thigh swivel cut, double jointed knees. The lower section of his leg can swivel about due to transformation. The ankles are on hinges, so you can get some up and down movement at the feet. And the feet do have a very nice ankle rocker pivot. Also, due to transformation, the heel spurs can actually fold down a bit. Minor inconveniences aside, with the limited amount of movement at the head, the rest of the figure is pretty much superposable. As a matter of fact, I would even say that this figure is the most posable out of the Studio series so far. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the landing gear for his jet mode, which does turn into his walking stick, just like in the movie. So we have options here at the handle. We can tab it in right here in his hand via this hole, but it doesn't go in any more than that, and you don't want to run the risk of forcing it and breaking it. But he also has a hole here at the bottom of his palm where you could tab it in right here. And this is my preferred way to pose Jetfire with a bad back. But if you wanted to, you can pose the figure with the walking stick in both hands, just like on the front of the packaging, where he could be threatening any Cybertronian kid to get off of his property. But if he needs to get physical with the kids, he does have other resources like his axe here. The only paintwork that we've got is just for the blades being painted in silver, and I'm fine with that. So we can take the axe here and we can tab it in on his left hand. And I know the way the figure is holding these weapons, it doesn't look convincing, especially with his fingers being stuck out so far. But it's a toy. What do you expect? There's gonna be problems. You just have to pick your battles and deal with it. Or you can just hope and pray that third party will come out with a set of hands for the figure, which is probably going to happen in time. Alright guys, it's that time of the video where we do some size comparisons in robot mode, so let's dare to compare Jetfire with Voyager class Optimus Prime. And some additional scale comparisons that I want to show off is Leader class Jetfire with Leader class Grimlock and Voyager class Megatron from Revenge of the Fallen. Alright, so before we go, let's take a look at the backdrop the figure comes with. This giant desert combat battle here in the background. Let's put the figure on it and see how he looks. And as you can see, he's got enough space here to be displayed on top of it. So yeah, it's not too big, it's not too small. It does have enough length here so you can get a good look at everything that's going on in here. It's made of some very sturdy cardboard here. It's a little bit of a difference in the quality when compared to the other Studio Series figures. But it should be, considering that this is a bigger backdrop. It is going to take a lot more cardboard. So I think in the end the backdrop works with the figure. It's a win-win. What can I say? Oh, and yes, I'm not going to forget there is the authentic Transformer stamp on the backdrop. And if it doesn't say authentic, it's a knockoff. Having Jetfire a part of the Studio Series, especially as a leader class figure, is definitely something that was anticipated since the very beginning, since the announcement of this line. He was a must-have, we got him, and the engineering on this figure is pretty sweet. Difficult to transform, but then again, he is a big size figure and you are paying a lot for him, so it's to be expected there. But after a while, when you do get used to the transformation, you'll figure that it takes, instead of 20 minutes, it'll take you about maybe 6 minutes at most. Or at least that's how long it is for me now. But I can't help myself because sometimes I do have a tendency to forget which way this goes and which way that goes. And it really is a challenge to get this figure back in its jet mode. But outside of that, I love the robot mode. It's definitely on par with its movie counterpart, which is what is supposed to be all about the Studio Series, not just about size, class. And I love the SR-71 Blackbird model. It is a very cool jet ever since I've seen these things in person. Still to this day, it's one of the very fast jets ever designed, and it works really well for Jetfire. And I'm one of those that wasn't a big fan of Jetfire at first, but yeah, the design really does grow on you. If there's anything you're going to remember from Revenge of the Fallen, it's Jetfire. One of the most interesting and captivating Transformers to come out of that film. If you haven't been able to find this figure in stores just yet, don't worry, I'm one of those as well, but I got my figure off of Hasbro Pulse, where he's actually available right now and still available at the time of this recording. So if you're interested to have a look at this figure yourself, why not pick him up from there instead of having to wait till he shows up at retail maybe 2 months down the road. And so far as it goes, this Leader Class Jetfire action figure is the best to come out of the Studio Series line, and that's saying a lot with all the other figures that I have available at this moment. And that's pretty much going to wrap up the video review on Jetfire. Stick around for part 2, where I'm going to show off the full-on combination between Optimus Prime and Jetfire for Jetwing Optimus Prime. So, questions and comments, you know what to do. Hit it down below in the comment section of the video. If you like today's video review, hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to give me a sub up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. Don't forget to throw in the towel. And until then, my friends, this is the unprofessional toy reviewer Hasbro sign off by saying, when the opportunity persists, don't give up on your dreams. Siege the moment. And thank you for watching.